Well, listen to me, man. Welcome to the show. I'm eating a dum-dum. Listen. How are you guys doing? Listen to me. So, this is the Gabbin+Games version of the show. That's super chill, very interactive, loosey-goosey, whatever. If you're looking for a polished podcast, go listen to Colin Moriarty. But truth be told, there is a polished version of the podcast called Gabbin+Games, but in the mornings we do it usually on Twitch. We're starting to, but today's special because there's a lot of shit going on. So we're just going to talk. We're going to talk about, there's a bunch of stuff we're going to talk about this morning, but obviously the main topic is the announcement of PlayStation. Here it is. Fuck you, Ashes to Ashes. No, you're right. You're not wrong. He says, who wants polished? PlayStation Plus rebranding, whatever. So first off, let me just, there's news all over the place, so I got to kind of acclimate and, so you can call in, you can talk in the chat. I'd like to say thank you very much to Random Moose Brains for being a member for 18 goddamn months. Thank you, buddy. He says 13-incher. I don't know if he's basically, I don't know, man. I don't know what that means. I mean, I kind of assume I know what it means, but listen. All right, let's focus. Hello, Anthony Wright. I'm just give me a minute. Come on, man. Come on. I just got up, sorta. Took my kid to school. Here's the point. This guy Raul. I'll talk to you about what PS Plus is, but here's what he says. Sony comes out early this morning in a blog post, which I guess tells you how important it is to them. 6 a.m. and they talk about the changes to PlayStation Plus. And the high concept is what we've already known from the reporting from Bloomberg. There's 3 tiers. It's going to merge PS Plus and PS Now together. Pretty much PS Plus, as you know it, is the base tier, which is $9 a month. And then I think it jumps up to, in fact, let's just look at it together. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this, but on the off chance that you have not, let's sort of get a consolidated view for we're all in sync together. Okay. So Jim Ryan comes out. He says, "Howdy-ho, fellas. Let me tell you about our new service." So PlayStation Essential, I don't know, you can read it. It's basically cloud storage, online multiplayer, discounts, 2-month games, what you get now. That'll cost you $60 a year if you want that in America, $9 a month. The extra version is all the shit we just talked about. Plus you get 400, I like this, of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games. Define that, but fine. Including blockbuster hits from our PS catalog and third party. Games in the extra tier are downloadable for play. Okay, that'll give you, that's $15 a month. That's $100 a year. Okay, now the premium. You get everything we just talked about. Plus, you get 340 more games, including PS3 games that stream, because they just can't make it work native. And then a catalog of beloved games available in both streaming and download for PS, PS2, and PSP generations. And those are both streaming and download. Cloud streaming access for original games offered in the extra and premium tier where it's available. And then some time-limited trials. Okay. And that's $18 a month, and it's $120 a year. That's the gist. That's it. Okay. So this guy comes out, which is what you see on your screen here. It's Raul says, "Can we?" He's in the chat right now. He says, "Can we reserve our judgment?" No, on this service until we actually have the complete game library that will be available at launch. I don't think that's too much to ask. This was just a consolidation. I'm done, man. I'm fucking done with people bending over backwards for these fucking companies. I'm done. It's an announcement. They couldn't get their shit together in order to announce it. There wasn't like there was some, oh shit, we have to announce it today because the end of fiscal's happening and it's going to hit our stocks. Wait 6 months, wait 3 months, wait 2 weeks, figure out what your goddamn games are. There's so many unanswered questions right now, and I'll tell you what they are. And what Raul brings up is one of them. What is in that library? Well, I don't fucking know. I mean, in fact, I think they said, did they say this isn't, did I read this right? It's not launching till next year. Did I, okay, it says, we aim to have the most, when does this start? Is it 2022? Yes, but is it end of the year or something? It's not immediate, is it? Today we are pleased to share changes coming. Okay, it's June. It'll be June. Okay, so it's not too far off. So, Raul, the idea that it's like, can we reserve judgment? Well, Jesus fucking Christ, man. How long? My answer is no, we can't. Okay, because they're coming out today with this news, which means they want us to respond to it. They want us to be aware of it. Of course, we're going to have a response, as humans do. They're coming out with this news. They don't tell us what those games are. They don't tell us how the trial demos are going to work or what those games are going to be. You would think at this point they would say, oh, for example, God of War Ragnarok's dropping June 22nd, 2022. You can buy it normally as always, or if you're in the premium tier, you can get the first 4 hours of it for free, and then you can buy it at a 5% discount if you want, right? I mean, we don't know anything about the time trials. We don't know anything about what those games are. We also don't know anything about, what else did Jim Ryan was talking about? It was the time trials, and there was one other part of this that I was like, well, wait, how's that going to work, right? And so, yeah, I don't think you put out a press release, Raul, like these guys did, and act like, you know, the amount of people that bend over backwards for companies. The other thing that I see a lot today, I saw this tweet here. I'll get to the chat in just a second. I just got to get this off my chest. I saw this response to me from a guy on Twitter, Tom Titus Hughes of the Cincinnati Hugheses. He says, because Xbox's model is costing money and Sony can't take the losses Microsoft does, Xbox is losing money to invest. I want, you know, whatever. He goes into what he wants. But the point is, I don't care about these companies. I don't care if Sony can't afford it. It's not my business. It's not my problem. My problem is entertain me. So when people come at me with these ideas of like, oh, well, you have to understand Sony doesn't have the money to... No, I don't. Fuck you. I go to Disneyland instead of some podunk rinky-dink D-level theme park. I don't care if the rinky-dink theme park doesn't have the funding to compete with Disneyland. I want the best that I can afford, so I go to Disneyland. That's their problem. That's not my fucking problem. But anyway, so I look at it and look, people are coming at me and they're saying, why are you surprised, Jaffe? This is what they said it was going to be. There was never, you know, they didn't say anything, but this is what the reporting, the leak said it was going to be. Why did you expect anything else? And I expect more because the industry is shifting. Because you know, it reminds me of when Iwata was on stage ages ago, obviously, at GDC. And he talked about how they were like, we can't compete really with Microsoft and Sony. And so we kind of charted our own waters, or charted our own, you know, navigation in the waters. And they ended up with the Wii, and they ended up with the 3DS. Microsoft is innovating. Whether you like what they've innovated, that's fair. You don't have to like Game Pass. But human nature, or human history and how human nature works, has shown that it's going that way with music. It's going that way. It's gone that way with music. It's gone that way with movies. It's gone that way with TV. There's a lot of value in thinking that way. It's not that I expected Sony to come out and do day and date, but there were a lot of things Sony, you know, it just pisses me off, I guess. That's the goddamn truth, because I know people over there. I know the level of innovation over there. I know how sometimes the way upper up management does not have their ear to the train track of what gamers want. And they don't play games. My guess is Jim Ryan probably has fucked around with Game Pass for all of 20 minutes and never touched it again. He doesn't realize the power of it. He doesn't, you know, Shu does, Rhodey does, the power of accessibility and ease, okay? It's not that I'm pissed because they're not doing one-to-one. Of course, I get it. If I was sitting in a boardroom with those guys, I'm like, yeah, we can't afford that. But there have been multiple suggestions from, not just from me like they listen to me, but from, the point being is, I've given a lot of suggestions. Journalists have given a lot of suggestions, which would suggest, because none of us are like fucking savants, they've probably heard these same suggestions that they've come up with on their own. And they didn't do any of them. Or if they are, they didn't announce any of them. They just kind of came out and were like, here you go. And I guess it's kind of annoying because the PlayStation fan base, a lot of them are just eating it up like, this is great. And I saw somebody online talking about this is a better value than Game. No, it's not. And let me tell you something. I have PS Now and I have PS Plus and I've had them for a very long time. And, you know, I could, if you're interested, I'll show you. But if I were to pull up PS Now, it's like, yeah, you can add 1,000 games to it. But Game Pass is exciting for the people who like it. Yeah, there are some cool older games on there, and that's nice every now and then, but it's the fact that it's new games. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is on there now. That's almost a year old, but comparative to what's on PS Now, that's a fucking steal. And then there's all the first-party day and dates. Then there's all these indie games that are dropping all the time that are day and date. There's always new shit on Game Pass. If you go to PS Now right now, there's nothing wrong with it. The streaming service is pretty gosh darn good. And they've got great titles. But you've played them all before. How many fucking times are you going to fucking play them? Do you really want to go back and play, Dirt 3 on your PS3 version? I mean, I guess, and then that'll wear off after about 20 minutes, and you'll be done with it. Anyway, that's kind of my high concept. Let me go to the chat. Let me see what you guys are talking about. Chris Biting, thank you, buddy. I don't know where all of our crazy flair is. I should be getting shit happening on the screen, but I'm not. I apologize about that. Chris, thank you so much for joining the Diet Soda Soldiers. You get a look at my dum-dum. I appreciate it, pal. Thank you very, very much for your generosity and your support. All right. Jon Snow, that means nothing. Jon Snow says, so far, Jaffe hasn't said anything that makes sense. Why don't you call into the show right now, Jon Snow, and you tell me what I'm saying that doesn't make sense. Ninja Shrimp Gaming says, Jaffe, have Sony lost their minds trying to charge the same price as Game Pass for a service that is embarrassing when compared? The optics are terrible. Okay, so let's look at it this way. So if you are not in the Game Pass ecosystem, if you don't play on Game Pass and you don't really have much to compare it to, and you just step back and go, what is Sony offering? What they're offering is fine. There's not a thing in the world wrong with it. Like if you just play PlayStation and you're like, oh, I just have to pay a little bit more than I'm already paying for PlayStation Plus, and I get a bunch of these backlog games. That's kind of cool. And there's some it's absolutely fine. It doesn't hurt the PlayStation experience, but it is so. It's one of two things and maybe both, which is it's both just sad given that Sony has always been the vanguard of innovation and fresh thinking. And it's also potentially harmful for them as a business eventually because, this reminds me very much of Blockbuster and Netflix. When Blockbuster just stayed the same. And it's like, what are you guys doing? Clearly the writing's on the wall and they don't see it. Downfall Media, thank you for that super chat, buddy. I very, very much appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Blake, I should say, but come on now. What Jaffe really wants is those forgettable indie games that drop day one on Game Pass. It's not that I want forgettable games. It's that I want freshness. Now, to be fair, I've been playing my PS5 constantly since Elden Ring came out. So there's a handful of games. That have come out that I want to play that I haven't gotten a chance to. But the idea, though, Eric, that look, I mean, I'll acquiesce to that. I'll give you that. If you absolutely want, this is why I do the more focused show in the afternoons, because I get distracted by the chat. What did Eric say to me? Eric said, it's like if you don't want to play indie games and all you want to play is what you're playing on PlayStation now, sure, fine. But for me, and for a lot of people, we like the freshness and the variety and the difference, okay? That's all I'm fucking saying. And Sony ain't delivering it. These people online, I got Dan saying 740 games for $120 a year. I don't care what you say about it comparing to Game Pass. That's more games and better value for me. Only if you play them, Dan. I don't know. Dan, let me ask you a question. Do you have PS Plus? You probably do. But more importantly, do you have PS Now? Most people don't, but I've had it for a long time. I barely open PS Now. I used it to play Shadow Warrior 3 or whatever it's called, because that was like one of the first day one drops they've ever had. But do you really, you can, like I said, you can have 1,000 games. You can have 1,000,000 games for $120 a year. But if it's like, ooh, the Disney Infinity game, I mean, what are you really looking forward to playing after the nostalgia goggles wear off? It's like, oh, look, I played Jumping Flash, remember? Oh, look, it's the original Ace Combat, remember? Yeah, that's great. 20 minutes pass, and then what are you going to do? You're going to sit around all day and genuinely engage beyond the nostalgia level that a bunch of fucking games came out in 1996? Come on now. Scott Woodford, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. He says, Jaffe wants innovation with PS Plus. Yes. I absolutely want innovation with PS Plus. And so should you, frankly. So should the gamer. So should Brian King, the #1 PlayStation fanboy I've ever met. Brian King should want innovation. And again, by the way, there may be innovation here. But again, then I want a more competent PR department. Because if Sony's basically saying, hey man, let us explain our time trials. I was, did a video a couple of weeks ago saying if Sony can come out day and date with time trials in their premium subscription service, not just their own games, but they can make a lot of deals with third-party games like, oh, the new Assassin's Creed, you can play 5 hours for free on I think that's very competitive. I think that's very strong. But if they were going to do that, something as sexy as that and meaningful as that, they would have put it in the announcement. There's nothing to speak of. You know what else they didn't talk about, which I'm a little curious about, that Microsoft does, and I don't know if this new definition of Game Pass does, or Spartacus or PS Now, whatever the fuck it is if I own a copy of a game and it's backwards compatible on Xbox, I don't think I have to subscribe to anything. It just... I forget how you do it because I don't own a lot of Xbox actual discs. They're all digital. So it just knows, right? Just like the PlayStation 4 knows what I owned on PS4. And so when I turn on my PS5, it's just part of my account. But now that PS1 games and PS2 games and PS3 games, if you subscribe to the service, will it automatically fill your library in and then you can stop subscribing? Because that's what Xbox does. Or are you saying even if I own a copy of Second Sight from the guys who made Time Splitters, if I own a copy of that and I can somehow prove to the system that I have the disc of Second Sight and I put that in, does it automatically link so I can download it? Or does it automatically, if it's a PS3 game like Twisted Metal, does it automatically link so I can stream it? And if not, why not? I mean, where are those answers? Where are those fucking answers? All I'm saying. Mo, thank you, buddy. He's been a member for 5 months. I appreciate that. He says, using Jaffe's rocket scientist analogy, Sean Layden said Game Pass isn't sustainable as it is. I think he knows more than most people. Again, Sean, well, I'm trying to fashion a response to this because I think Sean Layden's one of the smartest people I've ever met in the industry. Crackerjack of a fella in terms of everything, but certainly his wisdom. But what I continually say is, even if Game Pass, it's like, first off, it doesn't matter if it's sustainable. It's here now. It's going to be here for the foreseeable future because they've bought all of these fucking studios, okay? There's a lot of things. When I was a kid, there was a restaurant called Sailmaker. And it was insane to me. You'd go to Sailmaker with your parents and your brother, and all the people that were waiters were dressed up as famous movie characters. And the entire restaurant was like a set, like you could eat in the Wizard of Oz section, or you could eat like in the Casablanca section, and Humphrey Bogart would come serve you. It was awesome. And it lived for about 4 years and shut down because for whatever reason, it was unsustainable. Well, but I got to enjoy it then, okay? So the fact of the matter is, I don't really care if it's sustainable, but beyond that, to your point about Sean Layden, look, you've got an entire company at Microsoft that has said, we've run the numbers, we know the acquisitions we've made, we know the cadence of releases, we're going to roll the dice, we think this thing could be pretty fucking cool, okay? And that, is it my job to look at their books and their return on investment before I respond to something and go, I would like it. I would like to be influenced by it, but it may not be sustainable. So I don't engage with things that aren't sustainable. If you're talking about Sony, I get that it's not sustainable to do what Xbox is doing. I get that, Mo. But no one's saying that. You don't have to do day and date to do time trial day and date with first party and third party, okay? You don't have to be Game Pass to let the player who already owns a bunch of their software, just like Microsoft, have the system acknowledge it so I don't have to keep subscribing just to play games I've already bought. You don't have to be Game Pass to say, we know day and date's important. We also know we make the very best games in the industry, and so we're not doing that with our $70 games. But you know what? We have started an initiative within Sony. We are going to be making 5 to 12, $2 to $15 million games a year. They're going to be made by our best teams. They're going to be made with our IP, and they're going to be some original IP. And these are going to be made, and these are going to be day and date absolutely on the new service. You don't have to give away the farm to basically to take what works and what clearly gamers do like about Game Pass and innovate in your farm. Instead, they're just kind of like, no, they're dinosaurs, baby. This is buggy carriage versus the first automobile. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're fucking dealing with. But Mo, you know I appreciate that, buddy. Let me see. This is Ashina Sword Style says, hey, I'm glad they're not raising the price for what we already have. I thought they were going to raise it from 60 for the year. Best news from it. Yeah, I mean, I think if you get the basic package, it's basically PS Plus. Absolutely. And I think that's what most people are going to do. Because I think you're going to subscribe to the premium maybe at first, and then you're going to realize I don't play 95% of these fucking games. I don't play 95% of the games on Game Pass. But the 5% I do play keep me coming back week after week after week because they're new. And Sony's not offering that, at least as far as we can tell. Okay. Oh, my God. Okay, listen to me. John Goetz has dropped in with a super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, look. Where'd it go? Hang on. This is the last thing I'm eating on stream. John Goetz, thank you, buddy. He says, Valve, isn't that gross when people eat? I know. Valve completely depends on the library for me. Value, sorry. I want mediocre 3D platformers from PS and PS2, damn it. Also, Sony don't tell Nintendo offer old games a la carte. I'm going to try this one again, man. Value completely depends on the library for me. I get that. I want mediocre 3D platformers from the PS1 and 2, damn it. I think you're being sarcastic. Also, Sony, don't do the Nintendo offer old games a la carte and don't force me to stay subbed. Well, they're going to. I mean, so I hear you, John. I appreciate it, but they're going to. Michael McGeehee says, why would Sony do it if it isn't sustainable? Why do something to failure just so gamers can experience for 10 years? My point is that I don't think Microsoft thinks it's not sustainable. But I think Sean Layden, to answer, I forget who asked it, their question would know if it's sustainable for Sony. And what I'm saying is I didn't expect Sony to come out as a direct checkbox. Oh, you have day and date with your first party games, big exclusives? We have that. I never expected that. All through the last year I've been talking about this on the show, I've never said that. I've understood. I'm like, yeah, that'd be great, but we understand they can't do that. But if they would have come out today and if they would have said every PlayStation exclusive that's like a big game, we're not dropping day and date, but I guarantee you every time we launch, 12 months later, you'll have it on your premium tier. They gave us no indication of that. And we're supposed to get excited that Returnal and Spider-Man and games that have been out for over a year, for the most part, are coming to PS Plus. Wow. Big fucking deal, right? They didn't give us any information on that, the release window, which they should have, in my opinion. They didn't give us any information on any sense of new games that are less expensive that they can make sustainable to bring. That's what I was looking for, Michael McGehee. I wasn't looking for a one-to-one. I was looking for the only one-to-one comparison I was hoping Sony would bring to the table with this was the same level of tenacity and forward thinking and innovation that Game Pass brought. That's what I was hoping for. And instead it's just, it feels very, bro, we're the king. Why don't we change anything? Give me more money. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like it's just coasting on what they know works. And in the meantime, the kind of younger whippersnappers are nipping at their heels. And I don't know. I don't think it's going to end well. That's what I don't think. And I'm not hating on Sony. I'm sick of that bullshit too. Like I said, I've been playing this shit out of my PS5 the last month with Elden Ring. Fucking come at me with that bullshit. All right, let me go back to the chat. Thank you, fellas. I appreciate it. Okay. Where'd it go? Let me get down here. I'm sorry, fellas. Fupy says Microsoft Studios are barely releasing any games, so first party is not an argument. Sure it is. Because eventually they will. And if they don't, then fuck them. But the plan is an awesomely exciting, cool plan. If they can't make it work, then shame on them for having terrible management and not being able to recognize that they need to sort of bring in new blood to fix their poorly run product development teams. But that's a different issue. I've complained about that for years. I complained about that so much Phil Spencer blocked me on Twitter. Because I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? It's either your fault or Matt Booty's fault, but ultimately it's your fault because you're not making any changes. Halo, as much as I loved Halo, that game's insanely deficient for content. The fact that what's happening over at the Initiative, is that what they're called? The Santa Monica team? And I'm so sick of the Microsoft fanboys like, oh, that was supposed to happen. Fuck you. No, it wasn't. It was supposed to happen. It was supposed to be managed to the degree that half the fucking team would leave before the game even came close to shipping. That was supposed to happen? Come on now. Come on now. It's like, why? You know what I wish? I wish we could all be a big family of gamers and we push the game companies. When you think about it, it's kind of crazy. It's like some of you guys are like psychotic. It's like you would rather fight. It's almost like what the government's doing. The Democrats would rather fight against the Republicans, and the Republicans would rather fight against Democrats than fight against the politicians that are mostly the same and forcing us to fight so we don't really look at the man behind the curtain. We should all be going, this is what's wrong with Game Pass. This is what's wrong with Sony. This is what's wrong with Nintendo. You know what is awesome is when gamers vote, first with their voice, but more importantly with their wallet, shit changes. Look what happened to Gran Turismo 7. Gamers lost their shit, and I have to assume the losing of the shit was accompanied by a drop in sales or something that made them go, these are not just a bunch of vocal people in a bubble internet fanboys, this is a problem. And they changed it. But instead, it's like, can't you look at what Sony put out today and go, I wish they were a little more forward thinking. And can't you look at what Xbox is doing with their companies and go, they've got a great plan. If they can actually release all those games day and date with the cadence Phil Spencer is presenting, it's every 2 or 3 or 4 weeks you've got a big fucking game. Not to mention all the things that fill in the blanks every week. But their studios are shit in terms of how they're managed, it seems. Can't we at least, but we can't be there. We can't talk about that because it's Xbox and blah, blah, blah. It's insane to me. It's insane to me. Robert, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I very, very much appreciate it. Let me bring in a couple of calls real quick, and then I'll go back to the chat. Gamers who don't get all up in a tizzy over things aren't necessarily fanboys or bending over backwards. Some of us disagree with you, says Doug. I don't care if you disagree with me, but disagreeing with me without countering my points makes you look like a fanboy. So, Doug, I'm going to get this call or these two calls, but then I will keep an eye out in the chat for you. What is the one thing you disagree with me about? And then I would love to hear your facts. I am a very open-minded guy. I don't have to be right. Dan says, I'm pretty sure you're ignoring a lot of our points. Okay, I'm going to get the calls in just a second. I see Ricardo. I see Mo. Let's continue this conversation, though. Let's make sure this thread stays so we can complete this thought. I will be looking at the chat right now. And you tell me one of the things you disagree with and then explain to me why you disagree with it. Mateus, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says the sub doesn't include PSVR games either. Seems like a huge miss. Did the other sub did throw in PSVR games from time to time, right? I mean, maybe it's the same thing. They don't announce because were you guaranteed a PSVR game every month? I don't remember that. Marcus R says, Jaffe, it's an age thing. I'm close to 40 and an avid gamer. This nonsense is just younger folk fanboying. Okay. Like it could be. Okay. Thank you, NBMTX. PS Japan's tenacity with risk taking is greater than PlayStation's Games as a Service California. Yeah, but PlayStation California is better figuring out what the market actually wants to spend their money on. I mean, look, I will go to my grave with Alan Becker, who ran Sony Japan, being one of the favorite people on the planet, my favorite people on the planet. But the fact of the matter is they released failure after failure after failure after failure. Were they cool? Yes. Were they innovative? Absolutely. But that's only part of it. You've also got to be able to make something that people want that's innovative. Okay. So I'm waiting for somebody to drop me a fact. Who's doing it? Somebody going to hit me a fact they disagree with me on and tell me why? I disagree. This is a huge loss for Sony, says Doug. Okay, here's Doug. Okay, cool. PlayStation should not be and doesn't need to play the same game Microsoft's playing. Their blue ocean is the big exclusives. New PlayStation Plus doesn't have to be hot shit. Okay. So let's just take that for a moment. Okay, I don't think, what did I say earlier, Doug? I said if you don't have Game Pass to compare it to, if you don't have Game Pass to compare it to, there's absolutely nothing wrong with what Sony rolled out today. And again, if you're somebody who just got your PlayStation and you're like, oh shit, I can pay, what is it, $18 a month and I can get all these games? That's pretty fucking cool, man. That's not too shabby. You're not wrong. I don't agree. I mean, I don't disagree with you. But Steve Mack is like, why would we compare it to Game Pass? Because that is where the ground has shifted. Okay? Why would you it almost feels like you guys, like I said. So, okay, let me answer that specifically. I'm going to look away from the chat. I'll get to it, but I want to be able to respect your question. So it would be like you go into the video rental business, okay? And you see Netflix doing their thing, and you can't quite see the writing on the wall of what's shifting. So instead you put all your effort into just making a better version of Blockbuster. Or it would be like your Blockbuster, and you're like, you know what we should do, fellas? Let's make the Blockbuster membership card throw in some free candy every month. And every month you can walk out of here with 2 movies that you can rent for free, or 5 movies you can rent for free, or 1 you can own. And there'll be it's like you're fighting the wrong war. The innovation is happening in front of your fucking eyes, and it's not. And I'll tell you something. The innovation, in my opinion, and that's all any of this is, the innovation, in my opinion, Sony actually would stand to take what Game Pass is doing. And if you guys say it's not sustainable, I don't even care about that because no one has any proof of that. But Sony could do the things we've been talking about here today, whether it's give us an announcement. It's 8 months and your big titles drop on the service. Start an initiative within Sony to give us day and date games, but they're smaller and less expensive, but they're still really cool and commercial, and they use IP, and give us a 2.5D God of War Castlevania game. Give us a new world for Ratchet and Clank, and just give us like a little short story of Rivet and whatever that fucking robot was she was vibing with that went back to their world or their universe. It's 4 hours of play, but you know what? That's your day and date drop for May. But it's a fucking awesome 4-hour game. It doesn't mean you don't get your big $70 games that aren't their day and date, but they could actually innovate within the space in a way that makes it financially feasible, but also takes the ball and pushes it down the field of the way people like to consume media in 2022, which is streaming, which we'll eventually get to, not yet, I know, and subscription. That's the truth. Ninja Shrimp says Microsoft was the number one publisher last year with some of the highest rated games. Sony fanboys saying Xbox has no games is tiring. Well, look, I have both. I don't have a dog in the fight, right? I have every system you can imagine here. I'm not a fanboy of, I'm a fanboy of games, okay? But where people are right, in my opinion, to criticize Microsoft is yeah, they've put out some great games last year. Not just Halo and Forza, but I know you're talking about whatever the Kingdom Crusaders 3 or whatever it's called, and Flight Sim and Psychonauts. But they really are managing their teams poorly, in my opinion. That's what it seems like. Now, maybe it's getting better, but it seems like that. And it seems like they've been doing that for a long goddamn time, and something needs to give over there, okay? That's what I mean when I worry about Microsoft's output as a first-party studio. But I agree with you. What they have been able to bring to market is pretty fucking good. HMAM, whatever your name is, Halo Infinite wasn't great. I mean, fuck you. I mean, that's just a dumb statement. You may not have liked it, and I will agree with you that they have totally shat the bed on Halo in terms of how in the world do you release a service-based game in, what was it, November? But you still haven't released any new, like, meaningful content, like new maps? What's the matter with you guys? That is shit for Halo. I don't know what the fuck they're doing over there. But to say that Halo, especially Halo multiplayer, oh, it's shit. No, it's not. No, it's fucking not. You may not like it. Just like, look, I don't like Apex Legends, but I know it's not shit. I don't like Street Fighter V because I'm not good enough to play it, and I like Mortal Kombat Speed better. But you know what? I know it's not shit. Halo Infinite had a rough ranking system to start, but it was an awesome game, says Akashi. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Okay. Drex Viathan, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, how many games has Microsoft launched that are not on PlayStation and are not services? What? I don't understand that question. I'm so sorry. Because you paid for it, but how many games have they launched that are not on PlayStation? Well, all of them. They don't make games for PlayStation, and are not service-based games. 2, I guess, out of the 5 of last year. So Psychonauts is not service-based, and Crusader Kings. Oh, and Wasteland 3, which is fucking awesome, is not service-based. But Forza is, and Flight Sim is, and Halo is. Yeah, okay. Craig says Halo is not boring. It's just missing the addictive grind. It wasn't at first for me because I was so into the gameplay, but over time, you're absolutely right. And that's unacceptable. For 343 to not have that after all the money and time they've spent, to not have a live service game that has figured out how to keep people engaged is unacceptable. And that goes back to them, I think, running their teams in a fucking weird ass way. Emily Alucard says, may I ask a question? I personally have no desire to stream my video games to my console. I've never met anyone who does want to do that. So why does Sony still want us to? So what I will, I mean, I look, I am and this is not some visionary thing. Like I'm really wise. Everybody knows it. What we don't know, Emily, is the amount of time. So is it 5 years, 10 years? But it's all going to be streaming. There will be no consoles. It's all going to basically be streaming to your television. I'm not going to get into it with people. It is because I don't have the world's best internet, and my streaming for Stadia, for cloud, for PlayStation Now is great. Sometimes it's a little wonky, but given where it's at, it's great. For 95% of the audience, that's going to be more than good enough. And that will be the future, okay? But right now, what I'll tell you is I have found myself more and more. I saw somebody today, and somebody I know, but I forget who it was, and I apologize, who was saying, he says, I don't commit to a game. I have to commit to a game before I download it. I won't even download it if I'm not interested. Well, I think that's most people. But when you have the cloud, like on Xbox, lately, the last 3 months, I have been streaming from the cloud a bunch of new games on Game Pass to go, do I want to play this? So like I got Tunic the other day in the cloud. I got Shredders the other day in the cloud. There's like 3 other games I played in the cloud, and only one of them I liked enough to say I'm downloading that. But I got to be able to play it almost instantly without having to go through the download and the installation. So for me, that's the value of it for 2022. But eventually, Emily, it's all going to be streaming. People don't want to admit it. They want to accept it, but that's where we're going. Robert Olbert, I think you're the Ohio. Oh, they're a good family. He says, hey, here's some super chat money, motherfucker. PS Now is only in US, Canada, and part of the European Union. This is huge. Sure. You mean wait, what's huge though? Are you saying it's huge because this announcement, which I apologize, I didn't follow the territories. Is it not coming to you guys, or it's huge because at least we finally get PS Now? Bend over, thank you, buddy. He says, it's not the future, Jaffe, and I'm an insider. Yeah, well, you're just a dumb insider. That's okay. That's okay. Even people who hate streaming right now will tell you it's the goddamn future. It's just not there yet for a lot of people. But I'm not even fucking with you guys. Anybody who watches my stream regularly and engages with me regularly knows good and well I do not have a dog in this fight. I don't care. It means nothing to me who wins. I own everything. I love games. Okay, that's it. So, fine. So streaming doesn't become the future, whatever. But I'm just telling you, once you've experienced it, and you've experienced it in such a way as I have, where my internet is not insane, it's not like shit. I understand a lot of people can't experience what I experience, and I'm closer to the servers than a lot of people. I get it. But once you've experienced it, what you actually experience is nothing. And that's when you realize, holy shit, this is really fucking cool. When you actually can play Cyberpunk 2077 on your big TV and you don't have a console. You're just streaming it in from Stadia at that point. I'm not saying Stadia is a nightmare, but in terms of the tech, it's really good. And you're streaming it into your fucking TV, and you're just sitting there, and you've got all these people online going, oh, it sucks on the PS4, it's stuttering here, it's not my, and I'm like, I got none of those problems. I got the game day and date, and I don't even remember after a minute that I'm streaming the game. And I don't mean that like there's no consciousness anymore. I'm just playing the game. It's only when I stop do I go, holy shit, that's kind of fucking cool, man. That's like the future. So all I'm inviting you to do is put yourself in a situation where you can at least, be open-minded to some of this shit, because it will come. And I've been in the industry, or I was in the industry for a very long time, and I don't mean that like that means I have any wisdom, but I do have experience, and I can tell you the pushback that you see over things like streaming and subscription services is identical to the pushback that we were seeing over digital. It's like, I never want digital. Digital sucks. No, I want to own my games. I don't want, I mean, they own them, but I want to have the physical. I want it on the shelf. Great. Nobody cares. I mean, you care, and I respect that. But nobody cares in the sense that the industry provided a better mousetrap, and 95% of the audience jumped to it. And digital now outsells retail. For the first time 3 years ago, it started to outpace retail. So I'm telling you that it's the exact same thing. This pushback is just like, I don't know, maybe that's just what people do. But I'm looking for the best, coolest experiences, so I'd go where those are. I don't give a fuck whose name is on the box. Mo, it's Jaffe. What's up, man? Oh, Mo. Okay, well, Mo, you're in the chat. If you want to talk, let's talk. Okay, let me get some super chats while we're waiting for good Sir Mo. Are you there, Mo? What's up? I can hear you great. What's going on? Okay, yep, go.
Like we had on PlayStation Plus now, Destruction All Stars and Fall Guys. They were released day one, so maybe we'll get more going forward.
Hang on a second. Destruction All Stars was on PlayStation Plus day one, and then they pulled it, and you had to buy it. But what was the second one? Fall Guys wasn't a day one release on PlayStation, was it?
Yes, it was.
I don't. Okay, all right, fair enough. But yeah, that would be great. They should do more of that. I agree.
Yeah. But like the main thing I want to talk about, you keep talking about Microsoft Studios having issues.
Yes.
I think PlayStation Studios have issues as well, and maybe that's why Shu was ousted. Like Santa Monica Studio did one game in the generation of PS4. 5 years it took Guerrilla Games to do Horizon 1.5, which is the new one.
I played it.
Studios did one game every 7 years. 7 years it took them to make Days Gone, so on and so forth. So many studios didn't actually their outcome isn't great, their output isn't great. So I think they need to do that. And when we look at Insomniac, for example, in 3 years they had Spider-Man and Miles Morales and Ratchet and Clank. So maybe Ted Price should be the new president of Sony Studios.
Perhaps, but to be totally fair, though, they have multiple teams in various parts of the country, maybe even the world. It wasn't like the Ratchet and Clank team was the Miles Morales team. I'm sure maybe there was some sharing and some help, but I think the North Carolina division of Insomniac did most of the heavy lifting on Ratchet. But regardless, though, your point is good in the sense that, well, I hear what you're saying, and I think what you're describing is a situation that really sucks. But the two things that push back on that description, one is the nature of games today is simply such that the kind of games people are demanding perhaps just take a lot more time. Like Miles Morales was basically, I love Miles Morales. It's better than Spider-Man in my opinion. But Miles Morales gets a big jump because they made Spider-Man first, and they were making Spider-Man on PS4 as well. Okay, so, and then Ratchet is a game that they've been making for the last 20 years with a beautiful, insane coat of paint. I love that game, but it's the same fucking game. I think when you're talking about God of War that had to reinvent itself, when you're talking about Darksider is what I think it was called, which was the game they canceled in Santa Monica, that was a very ambitious, innovative game that just didn't work. But also you're right. I mean, the games take longer, but that may be a nature of where we're at with design and what players expect. But regardless, though, your average consumer isn't feeling that because they're getting plenty from Sony first party. So while all those things may be happening behind the scenes and it sucks, ultimately, though, players have been conditioned for well over a decade to go, when I walk in to a store or a digital store, it's not as frequent as it used to be by a long shot, but I'm always going to get some really cool, really quality PlayStation software. Microsoft is kind of like, what are you guys doing? It's very, it feels like they're still on the runway, and it's like, I hope they get the plane off the runway, but we're not quite sure yet. And Halo comes out, and it feels like they're getting a little lift, and it's a little too, let's go back down. And then Forza, it's, I don't think they've earned the players' trust in that they can be consistent with what they release and how frequently they release it. 1 second, man. The morning show is all raucous and crazy. I don't know who's going to call. What am I going to do? Not pick up the call? Come on now. Anyway, Mo, thanks for the call, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Love you. I'm sorry, Mo. I didn't mean to hang up on you, buddy. Boogster, it's Jaffe. What's going on, pal? Boogster, where are you at, Boogster? I want to talk to you. Are you Kate Bishop? Come on now. Where are you? Let me go in here. Boogster, it's Jaffe.
Hey.
What's up?
I wanted to kind of disagree with the last. I don't think they have. I'm sure there's some management issues. Like, no company's going to be great, but so far from what I've seen, even though their output isn't like there's not every studio making a game, like more than one game a generation. It's just really difficult to do that because of just how big in scope those games are.
Sure.
I mean,
well, that's what I told him. That's what I told him.
Yeah, and I also want to point. I think when you look at Microsoft, they have some studios that are really good at management, specifically Playground Games and the Coalition. But they have a lot of bad ones like 343. Rare,
right. No, I got it, and they need to fix it. I don't know if it's Matt Booty. I don't know if it's Phil Spencer, but it is ridiculous. There are plenty of people in the industry that do this all the time that they could hire and say, please come run our studios. And why they haven't, I don't fucking know. I mean, again, I'm backseat driving. There's shit going on over there we don't know about, but how long does that get to be an excuse? How long, so I don't know. All right, Bookster, thank you, bud.
But I just want to highlight, but they do have a few of them. Like I said, the Coalition, they have a pretty good release cadence, and I don't understand why they kind of don't take those people who are managing those studios and kind of try and put them in higher positions, because they haven't attempted to do that.
Yeah, I have no idea. Good Sir Bookster. Let me ask you a question. You have a PlayStation?
Both.
Okay, so do you have Game Pass?
Yes, I do.
Do you have PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now?
I have PlayStation Plus. I used to have PS Now, but I no longer do.
Are you excited by today's announcement from Sony about what they're doing with PlayStation Plus?
I'm not super excited. What I'm going to do is I'm curious what the conversion rate to get to the second tier is, the $100 tier. I'm also interested to see how much the subscription will cost during the holiday, because that's how I spent like $100 for a year of Game Pass Ultimate and $40 for a year of PS Plus. So if it's like, say, $60 or $70 to get the next tier, I'll probably upgrade.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, it's weird to me that this is launching in June and there's still a bunch of question marks around it. It's like, if you're going to launch this in June, Jim Ryan, why not you wait so you get a little bit more of your ducks in a row and then come out and give us some details. But as is, it's like, what the fuck? All right, Bookster, thank you, sir.
No problem.
All right, I'll get you, Pete Turtle. I want to get these. I want to get some chats for a little bit. Mo, thank you for the super chat. He says it's true. Games take way more time now, but then you have Assassin's Creeds and the Call of Duties are released every year. Yeah, but those are made by different teams. Call of Duty, at least now they're changing it, which I think is going to be great for fans of things like Ratchet and Clank and Toys for Bob and whatnot. But and High Moon Entertainment, the guys who did Dark Watch, God, I hope they go back to make a Dark Watch. But I'm sure all those people are gone now that made it, but you know what I'm saying. But the Call of Duties have like 4 teams. They're working on them, you know, so it's not really like they're making a new Call of Duty every year. Each team is making a new Call of Duty every 3 years or so. Okay. Jabril Williams has super chatted. Thank you, sir. He says, I think all the smaller first-party titles, as well as games like MLB The Show, Gran Turismo, should be in the service since they're games as a service. That is a really good point, actually. I mean, again, Sony's going to, like any business, as they should, they're going to do what they can get away with. And what they can currently get away with is they don't have to do that. But I certainly think that would sweeten up the pot a hell of a lot. Especially, I mean, think about it. You're not wrong. Think about that. I can subscribe to PlayStation Plus Premium Tier, and I still can't get MLB The Show Day 1 for free. But I can if I just go over and get the lowest tier version of Game Pass. It is ridiculous. 7 of 9. Thank you, sir. I very much appreciate that super chat. Very generous of you. He says, what I want to see change from Microsoft is management of their teams. I'm with you, sir. Not all of them. Timmy Schafer runs a tight ship. Brian Fargo in Exile runs a tight ship. Some of these guys and girls know what the fuck they're doing, but you're not wrong about a lot of them. They have so many great studios. Yes, they do. But we keep hearing these stories about problems, whether it's Fable or The Initiative or 343. Fable is understandable, but it's weird that that game got given to the playground. Given all the RPG experience Microsoft now owns, you're going to give it to a team that's primarily doing racing games their whole lives, and they've literally come out and said Fable is delayed and slowed, and we're struggling. It's not going to be bad necessarily, but we're struggling because we've never made this kind of game before. It's like, why would you give them that game? It doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. But I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. And I think and that's why I'm so high on Game Pass, right? If they can get their shit together, okay? Imagine that. May, it's a new title from Double Fine. In June, it's a new title from Bethesda. In July, it's a new title from Playground. It's just every fucking month, and you're like, what is? It's like as a child. It's almost the equivalent of being promised, like, you can just go to the toy store and take what you want. It's like, my God, all these fucking massive cool games are coming all the time. How can you not be in love with that? But you're right. Until they get their shit together, I don't know how it's going to work. Death Proof, thank you, buddy. He's super chatty. He says, Dave, you old so-and-so, skibbity ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-doo, I don't know what he's saying. Skibbity paps. Skibbity paps, Death Proof. I appreciate the super chat and the scat lesson there, sir. Jim BZF for the win. Thank you, sir. He says, this proves that Sony cannot compete with the new model. Sony's overhead will be way too high to release day 1 titles. Microsoft owns the infrastructure. Well, again, I think there is a path for success that Sony could take. And it doesn't have to be mine. Like I said, I don't care. But I, even I think it was Games Radar yesterday that published an article talking about, here's another way Sony could do it. They could take the Disney Plus model and say, like they do with like Turning Red or Shang-Chi or Black Widow. And they're like, some of our games are going to be day 1 drops. Maybe like, because like, who was it who was saying it? Like, Jabril was saying, because they're service games. Some of our games are going to be coming out in 12 months, 18 months, whatever we define. There's nothing we're going to do about that. We're not dropping God of War on this fucking thing until 12 months from now. And some of our games might be somewhere in the middle. Like, hey, here's Death Stranding Director's Cut. It's already out. I know, but you know what I'm saying. Assuming it was new. That's going to be coming to our service in 6 months. Or you can do Premiere purchase right now, just like Disney Plus does. And you can pay $30, which is half the price, and you can get it today. And you'll own it forever, right? There are things that Sony could do to not only take a step into the future, this is the future, but they could actually do better than Microsoft because they have better games right now. Their management is better, and they could make smaller, less expensive games that are still running with the Sony blood and the Sony DNA of quality and coolness and innovation. They could actually take the Game Pass discussion away from Microsoft. But instead, they're just like, here you go. It's what we already have, but we're going to have tiers now. See? The kids, they like the tiers. All right. Aaron, thank you, buddy. He super chats. He says, Jaffe, my love, have a great day. Thank you, sir. You get to smoke the pipe. That's for you. I mean, we're in love. Okay. I want to make sure I got them all. All right, let's keep moving. Let me bring in some phone calls. Let me get the chat. Let me get the text chat first, and we'll bring in some calls. Yeah, I know Pete Turtle's there. I'll bring him on in a minute. God damn. I'll tell you one thing. He better keep my wife's name out of his fucking mouth. Is their management only better because their company isn't transparent, says Anthony, so you don't actually hear about what's going on? Anthony, it's a good question, but my answer to that would be it's management because it's a management issue because the proof is in the pudding, right? We know Sony cancels games. We know Sony has failures. My last game for Sony was an abysmal failure, as was Killstrain, right? As was, on and on and on. There are games that are in development you never hear about that they shut down. But amid that crazy, they are able to consistently ship quality software for decades, right? And so I think it's less about the fact that you may not hear about it as much and more about the fact that, yeah, you hear about it, but the story of their success at shipping quality frequently, consistently, is a much more... People are able to see that all the time, and in that, it dampens whatever reputation may be coming. In fact, it actually adds, because it's like Sony kills bad shit. That's part of their process. Microsoft just seems to take forever, and they put out some really good stuff, but even when it's a games as a service, they don't know what the fuck to do. Ooh, you're eating a baked potato with cheese. That sounds good, DS. I want one of those. Gavin Russell, there he is. Gavin Russell's a producer. I don't think he is anymore. He's a producer for Sony Japan. Are you still at Sony, Gavin? I always ask you that. I always forget. But you tell me, Gavin, what do you fucking think? Okay, so you're not at Sony anymore. Okay, so can you talk about, can you share your opinion on this? You know I would love for you to fucking call in. Come on, Gavin, call in the goddamn Cockadoodie show. Don Jaffe is hiring a graphic designer to clean up the layout. Oh, my layout's terrible. Fuck you. I know. Ricardo told me the other day. He's absolutely right. Turbo Bastard, thank you for being a member for 6 months. He says, Jaffe, I like streaming as an option, but as a collector, I don't like the push away from physical. Plus, I'm a video file and hate compression. Yes. And I have never mocked or made fun of or shat on those people. What I have said consistently is that I respect that. I understand why that's important to you. But most people like you also understand that you are in the minority and the business does not, who are the guys that run the I had them on the stream. They gave me a great interview. They run the physical limited edition, limited run games. Their whole business model is set up to please people like you. And it should be. There's a great market there. But when you're talking about these massive billion-dollar industries, you're like, okay, you're kind of an afterthought. And that's not disrespectful. It's just there's not enough of you to move the needle. So that's the problem. Do you think they will make a deal with just the PSP, PS2, and PS3 games, says Pidracast? I don't think so. Peapod's been a member for 17 months. Thank you, sir. He says, can we get a framed headshot of Pete Turtle on the bear? Absolutely. If you don't know what he's talking about, let me bring in Pete Turtle real quick. I'll get back to the chats, fellas. I want to bring in Pete Turtle. Just give me a second. The problem with Pete Turtle is hang on. Is sometimes you got to coax him out of his cave. Pete Turtle, are you there? There he is. There's old Pete Turtle. All right, hang on. All right, Pete Turtle, how's life? What you doing, buddy?
I'm good. You can hear me?
I can hear you great.
Okay, yeah, because you can't really tell in this chat. I just wanted to say that this practice of digital and streaming, it's dangerous.
Why?
And it's very predatory.
Explain that. Explain why. Let's talk about why it's dangerous first. What's dangerous about it?
Do you understand? Okay, I have a lot of games on my PlayStation, on my Xbox, right?
Yep.
And even when I had a PS3, I had a lot of games. They did not transfer over to PS4. That's a goddamn waste of money.
Yeah, I agree. It works great on that.
That's a waste of money.
But
that's something we need to talk about more.
Okay, well, wait a minute. Let's be clear. That's not digital, though. I mean, when you had PS1 or you had PS3 games that wasn't the fat when you had a PS3 that was fat, you could. But after that, you couldn't bring over PS1 and PS2 games.
That's terrible.
But that's got nothing to do with digital.
Okay, well, let me explain the problem with digital also.
Okay.
So I collected a bunch of games, right? And guys like me, as you know, we're being shunned from society. People, they don't like.
What do you mean,
like
guys
me.
like you?
You know, with a more traditional, ideological way of looking at things.
Oh, you mean like, okay, gotcha. You're a conservative fella.
No, I wouldn't say I'm conservative, but I would say that, I think logically and rationally. Wherever that fits, you can put me wherever. But
all right, well, share a logical and rational thought, and I'll tell you if you actually.
I'll tell you right now. So
okay.
Guys like me, when we're playing games online, especially competitive games, I play fighting games like Street Fighter and things like that.
Yep.
I get banned all the time. When I get banned, they lock me out of my account. I can no longer access those games.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
What do you do to get banned?
I talk shit.
Okay, but you know that's you basically have agreed to their terms of service, and now you're upset that you're having to deal with the consequences of a deal that you agreed with.
But that's what I'm saying. That's also that's not the predatory part. The predatory part, when it comes to like Game Pass,
is this the part where you bring the logic and smarts? Is that happening yet? I just need to know.
I just explained it. Listen, I should be able to call somebody out their name and not get banned. I did it most of my life playing games, and now they want to change games for these softies out here. Half the time when you play video games, that was the best part.
Yeah, so go into a private room with your friends who want to hear that, and you'll be fine.
No, I'm talking about when I'm playing a game, and like games like Street Fighter, they took out even chatting with strangers. When I'm playing the game, you can't even talk to other people now.
I wonder why.
That's not good. We're supposed to be in a more social, connected world.
I know that, man. But look, you've made the bed. You got to lie in it. I mean, the fact of the matter, I'm not saying you're wrong about wouldn't that be fun. I loved, and I didn't even know it was bannable, and I didn't get banned, thank God. I loved when PlayStation Destruction All Stars came out or whatever it was called. I was just being a total dick to some of these people because they were being a dick to me, and I just, I went at them and I was relentless and I was talking about their mothers and,
That's healthy, man.
Oh, I loved it. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry I missed that shot, but my cock's in your mom's mouth right now and it's kind of distracting because she don't have any teeth. I like that. But the fact of the matter is, I can't go to Disneyland and do that. I can't go to McDonald's and do that. They have it's a private business and they say, this is what we've decided our customers want. And I don't, and if they ban me, they would have a right to ban me. I don't have a right to, I don't have a God-given right.
They don't have a right. I'm just saying morally, it's disgusting. It is disgusting what they're doing. There's only like 3 major companies. They can do whatever the hell we want, and we got to play ball.
No, you don't.
So they can
do
whatever they want.
No, you
don't. It doesn't mean that's good.
Bullshit.
Oh, well, let me explain why things like Game Pass and this new PlayStation thing.
I love the argument style though, where you drop something that you claim that it's a fact, and when I push back, you change the subject. That's fun. Okay, keep going.
No. What I know is that I have very limited time with you, and you can hang up any second. So I try to get everything out as fast as I can.
Okay.
Before you hang up on me.
That's what your mother said sex is like with you. All right, keep going.
So when it comes to things like Game Pass, right? That's all wizardry. It looks like you're getting all these big games on day one and it's so cheap and it's such a bargain deal, but it's not, because you're getting like 2 or 3, especially from Microsoft. And I have an Xbox, but especially coming from Microsoft, you might get if you're lucky 2 to 3 good games a year. So I'm gonna be paying. I know you can cancel it at any time, but I'm just talking about if the service is going to be sustainable and eventually profitable, then you expect as Microsoft for a bunch of people to pay $15 a month plus tax, right? There's tax on that, right? So it's really like $17.
Don't forget the tax. Yep.
Look yeah, you cannot forget the tax.
Don't forget the tax. We fought a war over tax. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you pay that plus the tax, and then next thing you know, I'm only playing 2-3 games a year, but I'm paying all this money per month to play shit. So what? I'm paying $17 a month so I can play Metal Gear Solid 2 again? You know, or fucking what else they got? Or I mean, that Guardians of the Galaxy game I never would have bought. And I'm not paying all this money a month to play games that I might like.
Okay, so then
you're paying an enormous amount versus if I would have just spent the money on the 2 games that I actually liked.
But no, so look, I what I will tell you is, and that's why I say I don't have to be right. I just like the guy was talking about, he's a collector. Yeah, if you're a collector, I get how this isn't for you and how this bothers you, okay? If you are a guy that only really plays 2 to 3 big games a year, absolutely. I would say, why would you want Game Pass? Because look, you know, I've been playing nonstop for a month, and I don't think I'm going to stop for another 2 or 3 weeks of Elden Ring. I haven't touched Game Pass, but that's not my usual gaming habit.
Are you still paying for Game Pass while you haven't touched it?
Absolutely.
They are raping you in your butt. I'm telling you, you are getting. I don't want to use that word because you might get banned or something.
I'm just wondering. No, I'm just kind of wondering, where else could a man be raped? I guess in your mouth or your ear, or your ear.
Yeah. Or maybe you could be forced into giving a hand job or something.
But that's not rape. That's just sort of.
That's rape.
That's a Wednesday.
If you put a knife to my eyeball and you demand a hand job, I'm still not going to do it. But there are people who might do it because they're not as strong as me.
Let me ask. Is the closet that you're trapped in spacious enough that you don't have claustrophobia?
No. I'm in New York, man. I got to be around people. So.
I think you missed that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is though, is that I can respect that if you're that kind of gamer, and you dig that, that's cool. But
yeah,
I'm saying that I'm the kind of gamer, and I am betting that most people are the types of gamer at a large level, not the hardest of the hardcore, which is who I usually talk to, that they appreciate the variety. If you look at the numbers that Microsoft just put out at GDC last week, the number of people who game and buy more and play longer and play more varied games is like over 40% on Game Pass compared to people who just buy games. So there is an audience for it, at least 30 million strong, but you know, we'll see where it goes. All right, man. Pete Turtle, thanks for.
I had like 3 more things to say.
I know, but you get call back. I'll see you, man.
All right.
There goes Pete Turtle off into the evening, fellas. Bring out Jim Ryan, says 7 of 9. We need to hear his thoughts. I would love to bring out Jim Ryan. Listen. Here's what people need to know. Look, I love doing interviews, but I've done enough of them that I have had big fuckers reach out to me and say, "I'd love to be on your show, but I can't be on your show. PR won't let them." So you think Jim Ryan's going to come on the show? You think Sean Layden's going to come on the show? Come on now. But that's, you know, okay. Okay, let me look at the chat. They've basically done the bare minimum, says Spinwar, to rebrand now to Plus, so they can combine numbers whenever Xbox announces Game Pass. I don't think that's the main reason, because I don't think PS Now has that many. That it would really buttress up that number. Microsoft did not release Ghostwire and they did not release Deathloop. I understand what you're saying, but those were Bethesda releases, and you know that. Come on now. Okay. Do you have Godzilla Rob the Mod? I don't have him anymore. I'll bring him back. Absolutely. Oh, you mean get Jim Ryan on the show? Well, the problem with Jim Ryan... oh, shit. Whenever you mention Jim Ryan, what happened? Jeffy! Yes, Phil. How are you, sir? I'm pretty good, but I don't like why your audience is asking for Jim Ryan. What is up with that? Well, I think you do a lot of press. Yeah, I do. And he doesn't do a lot of press. No, that's true. And in that, I think maybe they want to see more of those guys, basically. That's all. They're not being mad. Oh, shit. Hello, Jim. How are you, sir? Javi, I think what I've announced today on the PlayStation blog is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, but it feels like you're not really pushing the boundaries, man. It feels like You know, and look, I know you look a little older. You look a little older than I do, but we're about the same age. But it feels like you're like stuck in like the old school way of doing business. The train has left the station. Oh shit! Oh shit! I am Bobby. Anyway, the point is, there you go. There's the puppets. Oh, P Turtle's still here. Let's get rid of P Turtle. All right, we want to talk about some other stuff. Can we change subjects, or is there still stuff to talk? Oh, Ricardo's here. Ricardo Estevez, what's up, pal?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. Good, sure.
Nice. So I'm not happy about this new announcement. Are you?
I'm more disappointed. I was excited. Are you calling from a wind tunnel?
Yeah, kinda. My balcony.
Okay, well, we may have to hang up because it doesn't sound very good. I can't really hear you. But
okay, I will call in.
Okay, but no, I'm not angry about it at all. I'm just kind of I'm just kind of disappointed. I love games, man, and I love the Sony DNA of making games, and I see so clearly. I mean, hell, the other night at the Oscars, whatever you think of the Oscars, was the first time a streaming service, a subscription service, Apple TV, ever won Best Picture, right? Although that seems weird to me because Netflix put out that movie a couple years ago that I thought won. But anyway, the point is, though, is a lot of the best television and best movies are being made by subscription streaming services. So when you think what the Sony DNA could do if they were freed from these ridiculous $70 for every product shackles, and it was, like I said, it was Hideo Kojima coming in and saying, I need $12 million. I want to make a 4-hour fucking weird I want to make my version of Mandy. I mean, people rave about PT. What if, he doesn't need to go and get $70 if it's a subscription service. You've literally got filmmakers and game makers who work in subscription services say, we are free now. You literally heard one of the best game directors of all time the other day, Mikami, who did RE4. I get him mixed up with Miyazaki, but it's Mikami who did RE4. Say, our next games from Tango Gameworks, we actually want to experiment with some smaller things, and we never were able to do that before because the business model didn't allow it. Okay, Kojima comes to Sony and says, I want to make my PT meets Mandy, and it's crazy as fuck, and it's not going to be for everyone, but it is going to be absolutely awesome. And they say, here's a check, go with God, we'll see you in 18 months. And suddenly, we have a classic that would never happen if they had to put it in a box and sell it for $70 fucking dollars. I'm more disappointed, Ricardo. I'm not mad. I'm just like, my God, who's going to do that? Xbox? No. But Sony, Tim Schafer could do it. Not the same, but he could do it in that kind of creative insanity. Kinwall, are you there?
Yo,
what's
how's
up?
it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Good. So
Good.
at first, when I saw this, because I'm Game Pass, I've everything, but I think Game Pass is more for me because I like the amount of games and the day one. For me, that's what it's there for. That's why I'm there.
Me too.
So I got over the no day ones for PlayStation, Sony, and if I was a Sony fan, I wouldn't be too disappointed. I don't know how to feel. I don't really know how to gauge it, but I know for me, it's pretty trash. Like, I'm looking at this, like, how does this push Sony's future? It's still, and I don't mind it because it's a hell of a trick with their exclusives. It's still the same thing. Like you said, I would have liked smaller games to come from them because when I'm thinking a PlayStation Game Pass competitor, if I just went just based off of that statement alone and knowing all of what Sony's done, I'm going to go with that one over. But it's not like that. It feels like a half measure attempt. Like the effort with this is like a 5.
Oh yeah, and people will tell you, I guarantee you I'll see it appear in the chat any second where people say, they never said it was a Game Pass competitor. Let me just cut to the chase on that one. It needs to be. Okay, whether or not Jim Ryan sitting in his office and he designed this with his team thinking this was a Game Pass competitor or it never even entered his thought, it doesn't matter. If you're not looking at Game Pass as the future, then you're not reading the tea leaves well. So I wanted it to be a Game Pass competitor too, because I think Sony could actually do Game Pass better because of all the reasons we've been talking about.
And I also find it weird that they didn't announce exactly the game trials. I'm pretty sure it's not confirmed yet that it's their exclusives. I mean, for me, shit, it better be. It better be not better,
but it better be their exclusives, and they better have deals with third parties. So you know, when not that there's many more third parties these days, but you know, when Ubisoft drops a new game or 505 game drops a new game, 9 out of 10 times, 7 out of 10 times, you're going to get to play the first 4 or 5 hours for free, and see if you want to buy it.
This effort was just, I think it was very odd from Sony. Like, this effort is just, it's not from them. I expected more from these guys.
That's right.
This effort was just, it was just like, I don't mind the way they announced it, but even with that, it wasn't. There's nothing Sony about this.
No, well,
whole.
It's new Sony. I mean, here's what you can say, and I don't dislike Jim Ryan. I've never met him. His job is thankless. It must be very difficult. And I wish everybody success. And I have friends still who I care for very much that work at Sony, and I want to see them doing well so they can continue to prosper. But frankly, it's impossible not to see some of the seismic shifts that have happened since Jim Ryan took over. And you can like those or not. But this, to me, I don't like. I don't like how they were handling Gran Turismo. I don't think, you know, even the logic of their initial logic of let's drop PS All-Stars or Destruction All-Stars, whatever the fuck it's called, as a $70 product. The fact that that was even something the team had to fight against, which they did and they won, is ridiculous. So there's definitely a sense that Jim Ryan absolutely has, in my opinion, his pluses. But my guess is he's in that position because he's more political than Sean Layton is, but not because he's better at running the company than Sean Layton is.
Yeah. Last thing, quick. So, do you know how PlayStation works with your computer? Like, what are the capabilities compared to Xbox? Because Xbox, I love how Xbox did it.
Well, the problem with Sony is that what Xbox does with the computer is great because you can download to your PC. Sony is saying you can stream, and I think you already can. I know you already can. You can stream PS Now games already, like right now, to your PC, but it's streaming. Whereas Xbox says, yeah, you can do that, or you can download it. So all of their games, for the most part, work.
I don't like that.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know... Now maybe that'll change because if you have this service and you're like, hey, I want to play God of War 2018, and God of War 2018 is on the service at premium, you can say, hey, you can stream it to your PC, or there's a PC version. Would you like to download that? Maybe they'll. I don't know, but I agree. It's kind of shitty.
Yeah. All right, but yep. Thanks for your time, man.
All right, man. Call back anytime. See you, bud. There he goes, fellas. Remove the $70 shackles, says DDP 550, and hook them up to $10 a month shackles. I don't mean the player. I mean game development is, in a meaningfully big way, affected by the business model. So if you know you're making a game that's going to cost $70, there are expectations that have to be met, even if those expectations are not in the best interest of the game itself. That's what I'm talking about. Jojo D says, I will say this for Sony. They don't say much of anything, and yet everybody's talking about it. That's true. That's absolutely true. Andy Lee, I'll get to that. Let me, somebody was talking about, hang on a second. I'll get to you, Ricardo, 1 second. Somebody was talking about, Yeah, Stevie Max says, what happened to Crunchyroll being added? Yeah, nothing. I don't know. We Bleed Gangrene, Jesus Christ, man, says the quality of Halo is in the shitter because of Game Pass. That's simply not true. The quality of Halo is really good, especially in the multiplayer. And beyond that, it's the same studio that made Halo when there wasn't Game Pass, right? Didn't 343 make Halo 4 and 5, which a lot of gamers hate? So no, you're just saying ridiculous shit. That would work if you could point to Microsoft being historically great before Game Pass is first party, and then suddenly they're not. But you have no evidence of that. Well, oh boy, remember the good old days before Game Pass when we had Crackdown 3? Come on now. Ricardo Estevez, what's up, man?
Hey, can you hear me all right now?
I can hear you great.
So I think that this basically comes down to each company's end game. Like we talked about, I think Microsoft end game is Game Pass.
Okay.
Not the console. And the Sony end game, it's still the console. It's still the same old box.
Sure. But don't you agree that end game is a dinosaur?
I agree. I'm not saying it's a good end game. I'm saying it's the end game they obviously have right now.
Right.
And I doubt it's a good one. And this is an improvement over their old system. I think joining them together will make some more people sign up.
Sure.
On the PS Now. And I think it could still be interesting depending on the games they offer on the service. They are adding PS5 games, something they don't have right now, and the game trials. The game trials are crucial.
But what do you think about the fact that, and again, so you guys know, Ricardo is a reporter, games journalist. He's now started his own site, but how long did you cover games for Game Reactor? Like many years, correct?
Since I started 20 on Game Reactor, 9.
Okay, right. 20 years as a journalist, 9 on Game Reactor. So
yes.
What do you think, what is your educated guess on why would they drop this news today but neglect to say this is how the time trials work, these are the games that we have lined up for time trials, these are the kind of games, first party, third party. There's so many unanswered things about this that's launching in June. It's not like what was the pressure to announce this, which actually may be better than it is if we get some of these details without those details. Why do you think they did that?
Well, there's two possibilities. One, they underestimated the value of the game trials. Second, they're terrible, and they will basically allow you to play like an hour of an old game.
Right.
One of them, I'm not sure which one.
Right.
It will never be 5 hours or 4 hours.
Well, Cyberpunk was, and the demos
that was a very different situation.
What about but Sony last year did betas of time trials. They gave you 6 hours of Death Stranding. They gave you 5 hours of Sackboy Big Adventure, and there was one other one that they did. Why do you think that was also just a test, but they don't really think it's going to be 5 hours?
I would be shocked if they allowed you to play that much of new games.
Well, Morgan says that Dragon Quest is a 10-hour long, and EA Access is 10 hours. Although EA, that's true. So
that's another thing. Well, why aren't they adding EA Access to the mix?
Why are they not? Right? Yeah, it's weird. I mean, and I get it. People want to push back. Well, they don't have the money, and it's like I get it, but business is filled.
It's not a bad model.
Yeah,
it's not a bad service.
No, but it's just
crap compared to Game Pass.
That's right. And businesses are filled, though. I don't know why these guys, maybe they've just never read about, go read a business book. Not like a book like on economics, but just like find some companies that inspire you and read about them. Most companies don't start with a silver spoon in their mouth. They start by building a better mousetrap. And they start by going, okay, we can't take on IBM just by making IBM another one. but you know what? We have an idea where Apple, let's try this. And suddenly they change the game. I don't know why that's so hard for people to see, that Sony can still compete in a different way, but this almost just feels like a half-assed attempt to say, well, we showed up for the fight.
This reminds me of the PlayStation 3 era Sony.
It does. It does me as well. It does me as well.
Yes, they were so inside their own bubbles,
right?
That they screwed up, and they say they were innovative with their services. That's actually not true. Xbox Live Gold came way before.
Yeah, I mean they bought Gaikai. They had the streaming first, but that was
that was they bought Gaikai. They were betting hard on cloud gaming.
Right.
Yeah, it's not picking up, and then the service is just not good enough. And that's another thing that disappointing people. Players were expecting an improved PlayStation 3 experience or backwards compatible experience, and that's just not the case. You will basically get what you already have.
That's right. It's what you already got. That's right.
Yes, now. Even the people are talking about the downloadable PS2 games. Well, those are the games that were launched on PS4. They are already available.
Oh, right. Yeah, you can. It's like I can already get Twisted Metal. I can already get War of the Monsters.
Exactly. They were originally launched as
PS2 what about and doesn't it absolutely suck in comparison that if, like, I was talking to Rob the Mod a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was Robert Jojo D in the chat.
It's still way better than Nintendo Switch Online though.
Well, yeah, but on Xbox, he was telling me he had Max Payne 3, and he owned the disc from Xbox 360. So instantly, as long as he put it, I don't know how it works where you let Xbox know you have this game, but you don't have to subscribe to anything, right? You just suddenly get the digital version backwards compatible on your fucking Xbox.
It works this way. You need to input the 360 disc on the console.
Okay.
And it will download the game.
I mean, that's amazing, right? But Sony is
every time you want to play, you need to insert the disc as a kind of proof that you own the game.
Okay, but you don't have to buy it. Sony's saying, hey, you know that copy of, I don't fucking know, Demolition Derby on PS1 you bought back in the day. We don't give a fuck. Give us $15 a month.
Backwards compatibility.
What? No,
this is
no.
The library of old games that you can play again to play them.
Right, I agree.
It's not actually backwards compatible. Backwards compatibility, it's I own this game and I can play it on a new system.
Yeah, no, it's weird. All right, Ricardo, I appreciate it, buddy. Hey, by the way, check out Ricardo's new channel. Ricardo, put a link in the chat and let people know. I also put it on last night's video.
Okay, sure.
All right, man. Thanks. There goes Ricardo, fellas. Okay, 360 backwards compatibility is a team Microsoft have of 400 people doing, this is Neo, 1-by-1 patch per game. Only real backwards compatibility of Xbox is with one. I don't care. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like people keep bringing this up. Like, it's almost like, Becky Lynch, who I think is awesome, goes into a fighting match with Mike Tyson in his prime, and she gets her ass kicked. And it's like, well, let me explain why. You see, I'm like, I don't care. I don't need to know how I know how the sausage is made. I made the sausage, but what do I care how they do the magic trick? What do I give a fuck how they do the magic trick? The point is they do the magic trick. Yeah, let me give you Ricardo's link real quick. Hang on. Here we go. Now, this is a link to an interview that I did with him, but obviously from there you can get to the channel because that's the only link I have top of my head. Here you go. That is good, Sir Ricardo. Okay, I'm going to change the subject a little bit, unless there's something really big that we need to talk about on this subject that I haven't gotten yet. And I'll look to the chat. You guys tell me, can we move on and talk about, I want to talk about very briefly Breath of the Wild being delayed. I want to talk a little bit about There's a little couple video game news we should probably kick around today. Cyclown says PS3 emulation isn't impossible, but it's just difficult and probably expensive. Not only that, but most people don't care. Most people don't care. I'm not saying there aren't people who don't care deeply. Of course there are. I respect that. I'm not saying they're bad people. They're idiots. I'm saying the only thing that makes them idiots is the fact that they aren't able to separate and have the self-awareness that they are in a niche market. And a company like Sony rarely speaks to them. That's not how they make their money. Fuby says, Jaffe, I agree, but many in your audience are total PS3 nostalgics. I get it, but listen, I'm not even immune to that. When I was younger, like in my 20s and 30s, I grew up on Atari. I grew up in the arcades. I thought it was the greatest fucking thing in the world. Like, oh, I love those games. I love those games. I want my wife to get me a Atari from eBay for my birthday and all the games. And it's great. And after about 20 or 30 minutes, you realize it was nostalgia and you move on with your fucking life. I mean, let me just fucking show you if you know, and I don't support piracy, okay? But I mean, even the PS1, I mean, just here you know, we'll get back to this, but even the PS1, look at this. And I know you know this, PlayStation Games browser emulate. I mean, you don't even need to be good at this. You don't even need to have, you don't need any of this shit. You just go to your internet and you go, oh, I remember PlayStation. That was awesome. Let's play Akuji the Heartless. Why not? Now, they don't all work. Most of them work, though. And if one doesn't work here, you can find it somewhere else. I'm literally playing. I don't need backwards compatibility. I don't need to subscribe. I'm just playing it right here on my PC. Now, again, everybody has a PC. I respect that. Yeah, and there's one for SNES games and everything. Ricardo, thank you, buddy. He says, we need some PS3 exclusive games. Metal Gear Solid 4, Infamous. I'm sure those are coming. Yeah, but nobody downloads emulators anymore. But, you know, let's see. Oh, that's loud. Hang on. Let me turn down the volume. And I can make it big. I don't have my... I know it was PS1. I'm just saying that I don't know if there's a PS2 web emulator yet. And I don't have my controller hooked. I'm not going to play this on stream, but you get the point. The point is this idea that, you know, you have this nostalgia, which I respect and get. Oh, shit, they even have demos. But ultimately, that stuff is easily replaced once you actually experience it and you go, oh, okay, I'm good. Yeah, you can play these on the Series X browser. Absolutely. You can do it for Xbox too. Do they have Blood Omen? They have everything. They have every goddamn thing that you could want somewhere on the internet. NES, SNES, ColecoVision. It's kind of insane. But anyway, that's that. There you go. That's. I just want to see how she moves. Oh my God! Talk about nostalgia. Now I will say there are old games that hold up, but the number of the old games that hold up are small enough that you probably get your fix this way and it's cheaper. Well, I don't condone piracy. But, you know, this is okay. I don't know what this is. Jaffe, could you see Microsoft acquiring Take-Two after the Activision deal? I mean, sure. I mean, I don't, you know, the rumors that are floating around right now are that we're going to get some news this week about either Capcom or From, but you know how this goes. I mean, maybe we will, maybe we won't. There was a great comment on NeoGAF last night about acquisitions. It's like, oh, well, my sources are telling me that we're going to hear about Capcom this week. And the guy's like, it's like, yeah, so if you know about these massive acquisitions and you've signed all kinds of paperwork guaranteeing you won't divulge it because it would basically be helping people insider trade, yeah, you're going to leak it to your pal on Twitter. It's like, you know, I don't know any of it's true. Max, you used to work for Sony. Max, what do you think? Are you happy with today's announcement, or do you think it's disappointing or somewhere in the middle? Max Ankar is here. Fellas, Max Ankar is was the lead effects artist on every single God of War game up until the last one. Worked a little bit on Ragnarok. Now he's working on virtual reality at a brand new company. Max Ankar says, I care less about the old games. I like them, but I don't like them enough for it to come at the expense of the innovation that Sony could be doing on their services. It's an interesting question. Peapod says, do people who learn game design at school learn from acclaimed designers or failed game makers? Why not both? I would say I am a acclaimed designer and a failed game maker. I've made failures and I've made massive fucking hits. I've made games that were the biggest games of that year, award-wise, money-wise, sales-wise, and I've made total stinkers that nobody likes and the press wanted to take a shit on, and they did. The best lessons come from failure, and the best teachers have succeeded and failed. So, you know. Max says if they would have copied Game Pass and included all new games, that would have been a game changer. Yeah. But even, I mean, I don't know if you can say anything. When you were at Sony, because you were at Sony a lot more frequently than I was, or recently than I was, what was the talk about Game Pass at Sony? Did they, because I view Game Pass as a game changer, and I view it as a shift in how people consume games, and it will change the industry, and it will change the medium, for a variety of reasons. When you guys were at Sony, was sort of the talk that was going around, this is the real deal, and it's a big fucking deal, and it's going to change shit, or was it like, whatever, right? Max says people seem to be worried about losing their bonuses because of Game Pass? Because they won't be getting bonuses based on the sales, is what you're saying. Yeah, but I'm sure there would be other ways to calculate the value, but got it. Okay. I'm glad Sony doesn't have Game Pass, says Shadowgate. I will play games on my schedule. Okay, cool. Ricardo says for that to happen, Game Pass needs to get into play. Yeah, well, Ricardo mentioned that to me the other day about putting Game Pass on PlayStation. And it was weird because it is clear, I think, that Microsoft really doesn't care about their hardware. Like, they just want to be everywhere. It took me a while because I've heard Ricardo say that a couple of times, and I was like, well, why would Sony do that? And now I'm like, well, yeah, why would Sony not do that? They get 30% or whatever the percentage is. Xbox, if they don't care about their hardware, that's the only thing. Xbox wouldn't want to do it, but if they really are saying, let's just make Game Pass everywhere, yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't do it. I don't know why they wouldn't get rid of their hardware and just put it on, put it on Steam, put it on PlayStation, put it on the Switch. And that's what Ricardo is saying. He thinks that's their end game, which I think is smart. But yeah, they delayed Zelda. Okay, Stevie Max says, Jaffe, do you think Sony has another acquisition up their sleeve? Personally, I don't think they will buy a big publisher like Capcom or Square. Yes, I mean, they've as much said that. They've basically said as much. Jim Ryan said there are more acquisitions to come after Bungie. But when? Who the fuck knows? Here's what I think. Gun to my head says, who do I think Sony might buy this week, Capcom or FromSoft? Assuming they're going to announce anything, and there's no evidence that they are. I would say Capcom is a better acquisition than FromSoft. FromSoft is the bee's knees, man. But FromSoft right now have only proven, as far as I can tell, that they're a one-team company. Maybe they make other games, but what you're really talking about with FromSoft is Miyazaki and his producer and the Elden Ring team and all that stuff. But if you get Capcom, I mean, Capcom, especially now that you have EVO, we talked about this on last night's podcast. Imagine Capcom making PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Imagine Smash Bros, but done with the Capcom, not just the characters, but the Sony characters and other characters, right? Imagine that. Capcom You get Resident Evil, you get Monster Hunter. I mean, that's an insane get for Sony. FromSoft, I love FromSoft. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying that I don't think it's near as valuable right now. Sony can't. I don't know what they can afford. A lot of people are floating around. Hey, Shadowrun, you keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. I don't know what they can afford. People talk about it all the time, but yeah. So Calvers is like, Sony can't afford FromSoft or Capcom. Well, I'm glad you know that. The market cap. Look, they can. These big companies can always find money to compete. They'll take out loans and sell divisions off. I mean, come on. I think Square would be a get. For me, it goes. I think the best value is Capcom, and then Square, and then probably FromSoft. I don't think Konami makes any sense. Because frankly, all you're really getting with Konami are two licenses that gamers love, but so what? I mean, look, all it's going to take is somebody to come along with a better mousetrap than Silent Hill, and you're good. Yes, you love Silent Hill, so what? Every year there's fewer and fewer of you. Same with Metal Gear. Metal Gear was never this 20 million unit selling title, right? Nor was Castlevania. But Metal Gear specifically, at least on the NES it probably was. But Castlevania was, Metal Gear was like, what did they do, 6 million copies? Fuck that. Make your own Metal Gear. Bring back Siphon Filter. Go to Kojima and say, we want you to make us a brand new Secret Agent game. Go. Right? You don't fucking need their name value. Stupid.
Don't touch me there.
Addy Pie says it sold 50 million. You're talking about collectively the franchise. You're not talking about an individual title. Thank you so much, Turbo Bastard, for that super chat. He says, awesome that PS1, PS2, and PSP games can be downloaded instead of streamed. It's weird there's no Vita games, especially since many are DualShock compatible. Again, man, I hear you. I don't know what that's about. I don't understand what causes the ability to download. I mean, I understand the PS3 version. The Vita version, I don't understand. Did they announce Vita, though, will at least be streamable? Or Vita's not even in the cards? Okay, sorry. No, Andre, I'm not. Come on, man. He says, oh, come on, you're comparing Siphon Filter to Metal Gear. It's not even close of a comparison game-wise and brand-wise. I'm not saying it is. If you were to make Siphon Filter today, you'd get a little bit of a brand bump, but you would have to make something basically brand new that's fucking awesome. I'm not comparing Metal Gear and Siphon as quality. I'm just saying that you don't need the brand name is all I'm saying. You can basically go to the team that made those games, that still want to make those games, and create either something, an evolution of Siphon Filter if marketing thinks the brand value's worth it, or you can start from scratch. But you don't need it to be Solid Snake is my point. The number of people who care about Solid Snake is not enough to value the cost it would be to acquire that company. John, thank you, buddy. Again, he says, why wouldn't Konami license out games? They might. They should. Let Sony devs make Castlevania, Metal Gear, Silent Hill, and pay dev cost and divvy up the earnings from sales. Sony gets exclusive, Konami gets advertising for IP. That happens. That's how Disney does it right now. But I'm just saying that the brands really aren't that valuable. They're just not. I mean, the last Silent Hill that really made a difference to people was Silent Hill 2. That was a PS1 game, right? Wasn't it PS1? How many, what was that, 98? Come on. Right, exactly. Pixel Catman. If it plays like PT, it doesn't matter what it's called. Who cares? I know PT was huge, right? Do that. Doesn't matter what you called it. Nobody loves PT because it was Silent Hill. They love PT because it was fucking cool. That's all I'm fucking saying. Metal Gear, Masakista says Metal Gear can easily be valuable if it's political and the enemy is China. Why spend however God knows money to buy Konami to make a title that can be valuable? Just make a new one. Just make a new one. Seriously, think about it. People flock to Sony first-party games, as they should, because they're amazing. You think if Sony comes out at E3 this year and says, hey, Kojima is directing a brand new secret agent game for us. Here's the twist. It's a big budget fucking commercial game like Metal Gear, and it is the spiritual successor to Metal Gear, but look at this fucking character. They are badass. You'll take over the conversation. You don't need it. You don't fucking need the brand. Right? The brand will be created by the game and marketing. I don't know what happened to Agent Masakista. I was excited about that game. That was the Rockstar game. Yeah, Yu says, I agree, spending $2 to $3 billion on Konami for a bunch of IPs would be a dumb way to burn money. Okay. So we talked about, all I can tell you is Zelda's delayed. Good. I think what makes this interesting to me is sort of what is going to be contending for Game of the Year now, right? It was, at this point, what you've really got, things will surprise us, of course. But what we know is coming is now Starfield and Ragnarok are the big elephants in the room that could steal the thunder for Elden Ring or Wordle. Fuck you. I do think that should be in competition for Game of the Year. But with this out of the running, I think it's good it's out of the running, though, because the more time, the better. And I'll tell you something else, man. I liked Breath of the Wild, but I didn't like it and love it near as much as I love Elden Ring. So if I go back to Breath of the Wild and it's more of the same, I'll be like, not interested. Because it's fine, but I got bored of it. Horizon, no. Horizon, I could be wrong, but look, I think Horizon's already dropping out of the charts, at least what we've seen in the UK. It doesn't seem to have staying power. People aren't really talking about it. I do not think, you'll probably get Horizon nominated for graphics and tech, but I absolutely do not think you're going to see Horizon in many game. Maybe it'll be up for PlayStation Game of the Year and it won't win, but no, I do not think you'll be seeing that as a Game of the Year title. Speaking of Game of the Year, I know we talked about Bloodborne Kart the other day, but did you see that Bloodborne Kart actually released some very early gameplay? If not, I'm showing it to you on the screen right now. This is Bloodborne Kart, and it's real. It's coming on itch.io. It's very early, but come on. Come on. I am so in. I'll play this fucking thing all day. No, it's on PC. That's all he's got. That's all he's got. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. They have enemies on the track. That's awesome. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Let me get these chats. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Naughty Dog made new IP with Last of Us and sold 20 million. Guerrilla made new IP with Horizon, sold 20 million. Elden Ring's new IP will sell well over, I agree, over 20. Advertise it, make it good, you get instant success. That's right, John. I agree. The idea that you have to, again, licenses matter, but they got to be worth the risk. Like Spider-Man makes sense, right? It does a lot of the heavy lifting already. If I'm 2K, of course I'm going to try to keep the license for WWE. It makes total sense. Same thing with Lego and Star Wars. But when you're talking about the Konami stuff, the brands aren't that big anymore. And so, Jaffe says Sony first party title won't be game of the year. What a surprise. The problem with guys like you, Wise Guy, I mean, there's a lot of problems with guys like you, but the main problem in what relates to here, and I know you're trolling, but a lot of people take this shit to heart. The problem with a lot of guys with you is they talk about it like you seem to forget or intentionally forget the number of Sony games I rave about. Returnal, Ratchet and Clank, God of War, Days Gone, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, some of my favorite fucking games of all time. Okay, but no. Because I dare criticize your precious, stupid fucking hardware company that doesn't give a fuck about you, I must be a hater. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with your brain? And I'm not asking you like I'm being insulting. I'm wondering, what's the matter with your brain, Wise Guy 100? What happened? Have you ever had like I literally have something, I think it's called an arachnid cyst, okay? I did not know I had it, Wise Guy, until I was in my mid-20s, late 20s. And the doctor called me and said, you have a cyst. I was terrified. He says, no, it's not like a tumor or anything. It's just, it's a missing part of your brain. Are you surprised to learn I have a missing part of my brain? Well, I do. Okay? So I'm not insulting you, but like what's happening in your brain that makes you so, that gives you the inability to look at nuanced conversation, right? I mean, if you go out with a woman, do you say, if you like women, or if you go out with someone and you say, did you have a nice time tonight? And they say, oh, it was really great. I had a lot of fun. Do you get upset because they didn't say, I had the most fun that ever existed on the planet? Like, is everything black and white with people like you? I don't understand. I don't understand, but I am curious about it. Yeah, the simping has to stop. I agree. Shadowrun says Sony tucks me in at night. Joe, I saw the new Top Gun Maverick trailer. I did not care for it. I did not care for it. I love the first Top Gun, and I think it will be a very good movie because the one thing, whatever you want to say about Tom Cruise, and the guy's off his fucking rocker. Whatever you want to say about Tom Cruise, though, he does consistently make quality films. Even if they're not great, the vast majority of them are pretty fucking good. He puts his heart into it. And so I think it'll be a good movie. I just don't think the trailer was very good. I think the trailer was, remember Top Gun? Hey, watch it. Remember, we have that. Remember, you like that? We have that. None of it was like, if it wasn't Top Gun 2, you wouldn't be like, oh, I want to see it for the most part. You're like, the story is just like, what is it? So I'm not all that jazzed for it, but I'm sure I will be. I'm going to save these two for tomorrow morning. There's some good shit in here, but it's not game centric. So we'll kind of save that until tomorrow's stream. So let me give you guys a heads up if you're curious. And again, if you like this malarkey, like it, subscribe it, share it, do all that stuff that you do with the people you love. I would appreciate it. But tomorrow morning, we're moving over to Twitch for the morning show, not the afternoon. Gabbin+Games will always be on YouTube. But the kind of shoot the shit show like this, where everybody's just sharing hot takes and calls and there's no real format, that's moving over to Twitch tomorrow, 9:30. Okay. And it's going to be about game news, but it's about politics and it's about weird stories. I'll give you an example. There's a what we're going to be talking about tomorrow are, literally, a journalist found a woman who, what's her official title? She does, an injury lawyer and they made her watch all of the 10 Final Destination movies, and she is ranking the accidents from Final Destination most likely that would occur in real life. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the new bath bomb in Japan that looks like poop. It's interesting. And then we're just going to shoot the shit on the news of the day. So that's the Twitch show. That's tomorrow morning. You can find me over there. I'll put the link in the chat right now if you want to watch with us tomorrow. I hope you do. And then we'll be back tomorrow around 2 to 5. I don't know when. Sometime in the afternoon with a traditional Gabbing and Games. And I'll probably be live streaming a game sometime today or tonight. One second. Why Twitch? Because the show over on Twitch is so it is so what's the word I'm looking for? It's so scattershot. Like today made sense to do it here because I knew 99% of what we'd be talking about is the news of Game Pass or PlayStation or whatever. But tomorrow, depending on what's happening, we could spend the day talking about, the Chris Rock thing. Not anymore, it's old news. With Will Smith, or we could talk about some games and some movies, or we could talk about some weird thing that Joe Biden said. And so I don't want that over on the YouTube channel because people who come to this channel really come only for games. And I think that really kind of annoys people when they see a notification for a video and it has nothing to do with why they subscribe. That's the reason. But for now, thank you, fellas. I appreciate the super chats, the great phone calls, the great conversations, the new members, the new subscribers, and you guys just spending some time with me and talking about the things that we love. It was a lot of fun. I hope you had fun too. I hope to see you on a future stream, a future video, or just in my goddamn dreams. Rob the Mod, thank you for modding. RPG, thank you for modding. And all your regulars, good to see you. P Turtle, always good to see you. We will see you soon. Talk to you later. Bye, everybody.